morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to episode 5 of The Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
And my name's James, aka FPL Drug.
Good to see you, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Bit knackered. I climbed Snowdon yesterday. It was chucking it down from halfway up. Pretty grim, to be honest. Some chafing, but we'll avoid that. But yeah, conquered it. Two down. Just Ben Nevis to go for me.
Good man. How did Storm, your missus, cope with being dragged up to the top of the mountain in the pouring rain?
Yeah, she did well, bless her. Yeah, she just kept going. So maybe Ben Nevis would be a different story, but yeah, it was good fun.
You're looking a bit like you got stuck up Snowdon, mate, to be fair.
Yeah, the hairs have pretty much been the longest I've ever had it. So I'm just enjoying having it long.
You're keeping that lockdown hairdo for a little while longer.
Exactly, yeah. Ride the wave.
My past few days haven't been as dramatic as yours. I did my first FPL draft for this season with the Chatman guys that I've been mates with on Twitter and stuff before. So that was good fun. And then I've got another Planet FPL one tonight, pretty much immediately after we finish recording this. So enjoying these drafts. Kind of takes the mind off sort of my own team, which is still a bit of a mess, but you'll see that later on.
Yeah, nice distraction, I bet.
Definitely. So for those listening, I think the agenda for today, I think we're going to run through our season predictions, which we thought we'd do, obviously, prior to season starting Saturday. Gives us something to laugh about at the end of the season, see how shit we did and how ridiculous some of our predictions were. And then we'll move on to our FPL drafts, kind of run through our thoughts and processes to why we've got certain players. But in all honesty, I think both of us will admit we're still in a tinkering stage. It's been quite a difficult season this season, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. No, I'm still tinkering. I didn't even have a player in the last slot of my draft about 30 minutes ago. So it's chaos.
Yeah, so that sums that up. And then to end it, as always, we'll answer your questions. And we've got quite a few this week, so I'm looking forward to getting stuck into those.
Yeah, definitely.
So to start with, should we run through our Premier League table predictions for the 2021 season?
Yeah.
Bottom to top, see where we're putting people, and then maybe say a bit as to why we think we've positioned and where they are. Okay,
I'll go first. So bottom of the league, maybe no surprise. I've got Fulham.
Oh,
is that different for you?
Yeah, slightly different, but maybe not by much. So I've gone West Brom.
You've gone West Brom. Okay, yeah, I think a lot of fair amount of people have got them to go straight back down. So I wouldn't disagree. Yeah, I've got Fulham rock bottom. I think they just won't have enough to stay up. Personally, I think they might finish 19th or 18th, but I think they're going down. Personally,
I agreed. So I think the similar process thinking for me for West Brom. You know, obviously they've gone for Pereira. They've now got Dean Garner back in. It's players that they're used to, but I just don't think they've got enough both defensively and going forward to get the goals that they need and keep the clean sheet. So I think they'll finish bottom personally.
Okay. I'll go for 19th now. 19th for me might be a surprise for some, but I've got Aston Villa at 19th.
Wow, you think West Brom will finish above Aston Villa?
I do. You'll see how far above.
Wow.
So 19th for Villa. I did see they made a signing after I made this prediction of I think it's the Brentford striker Ollie Watkins, which is in fairness a good signing. It's sort of on the levels of Neil Maupay before him. So another great talent from Brentford. I even with that signing, I still think they're going to struggle. I think they struggled last season, and I think if Grealish plays the way he did at the back end of last season, I think they'll be down there.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think he was shite post lockdown, wasn't he? He
just
didn't seem to be the player.
Terrible, and then the whole team just kind of shuts down without him performing. He was the kind of the star man, the person that was sort of Mr. Villa, like pulling them through it. And then as soon as his form dropped, their form dropped. So I'm a bit worried about Villa, even with that new signing. I think they're still got potential to go down, and that's why I've got them 19th.
I'm
Who's 19th for you?
I'm intrigued to see what Ollie Watkins is going to be priced in FPL, because if he's in and around the 5.5 million, for that lower team, then I think he's a good prospect. Anything above that, I think there's better strikers. But he looked really good in the
I think he'll
Championship.
be 6 million. I think
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, similar to like the likes of Che and Mitrovic, and then you're probably staying away, aren't you?
Yeah. Who's 19th for you?
I've gone Fulham, so no surprise.
Okay.
Yeah, I think similar thinking to you. Mitrovic is obviously their talisman, but other than him, I don't think they've got the goals there to keep themselves up. They might be better defensively than they were obviously the season that they were last up, but I can't see them scoring enough goals, sadly.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So 18th for me is West Brom. So I do still have them to go down. I think they're going to maybe play better than people were expecting, with the likes of Dean Garner and Pereira. I think they're going to be a decent team, but just as with Norwich last season, you can play good football, but you can still quite easily go down.
Yeah.
I think even with those signings, they don't have enough. I think they need more signings to stay up, more in midfield, more in defence. I think 18th for West Brom personally.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you there, and I'm glad you've put that, because Aston Villa are my 18th. So we've both got the same three teams to go down.
Same three. There we go.
Again.
Down this.
Yeah, I also think Villa will struggle this season. Obviously, they struggled last season and managed to keep themselves up, but without Grealish, they aren't the team that they need to be to stay in the Premier League. And I just don't think they've got enough to warrant staying in the Premier League at the moment. They don't seem to be signing the players I think that they should be. Grealish will only be there for so long, and they're essentially one injury, maybe two away from be even lower down the table, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But without Grealish, obviously we saw how they struggled without McGinn last season. He was, I think, a big miss for them. If Grealish was to get injured, God help them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think this might be the season that we see Aston Villa go down. Sorry to the Villa fans, but hope you prove me wrong.
Yeah. Shall I go for 17th?
Yeah, go on then.
Might be a shock to some, may not be, considering the way that the Garner transfer panned out, but I've gone West Ham at 17th.
Exactly the same here.
Wow, there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the team's morale is going to be a bit low after selling Dean Garner. Like, their intent as a club is, look, you've got teams like Newcastle ploughing money into their players, into their teams. And West Ham, you wonder where all the money's gone. Like they've sold players like Pyatt and so on, and they've not invested nowhere near as much as they should be, especially considering they're only renting the stadium at a fairly cheap rate, aren't they? And they're getting reasonable attendances. Yeah, obviously funded by the taxpayer.
That's another pod in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've got them 17th, and so have you.
I've gone 17th. Did you see Noble's tweet?
I did.
That's fine. I think that sums it up really for me. There's obviously issues behind the scenes at West Ham. West Ham fans aren't happy at all. And those first fixtures the first, 9 fixtures, horrendous. I think if they're, second from bottom from there, I'll struggle to see them recover. I think they've probably got slightly more going forward than the other three, which is why I've put them 17th. The likes of Antonio and Ale, and then obviously Souček kind of popping in with some goals. That might.
Well, yeah, I feel like they've got enough to survive with all those attacking players. It's just the whole morale and the situation, and obviously at the back as well.
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult season for them.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I move on to 16th? 16th for me is Crystal Palace.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Despite, obviously, they performed fairly well at the start of last season, their form at the back end of last season wasn't great. And then the thing is, I do think Easy is a really good signing. But I still think the teams I've placed above them have got more They've got more about them, and I think that losing run at the end of last season, I feel like that may happen again.
It wasn't great, was it?
No, they and it just went on. To be honest, like they didn't really look like breaking it.
No,
So
no. I think you'll see where I put Crystal Palace, but I might be slightly over egging their chances. I just hope that Zaha and Easy, Eze, kind of perform for them because they're both good FPL options as well. To be fair,
yeah,
they really need to improve defensively, don't they?
I'd be happy for them to improve. I actually quite like Palace as a team. It'd be great to have obviously Easy as a whatever in your team. Yeah. So who have you got 16th?
I've gone Brighton.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I've put Brighton 16th. I know they've made a few signings. They obviously brought in Lallana, but I can see them still fighting to stay in the Premier League. They can be a good team on their day, but I don't think that they're going to be breaking into the top half, which is obviously where they want to be. They've got some money behind them. They're in the relatively new stadium at the Amex, and they perhaps should be pushing. But at the moment, I don't think they've got enough firepower to propel where they want to be.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. To be honest, you'll see where I've put Brighton. I think they may perform better than some people are expecting. They do tend to get written off each year by people. People do get proved wrong, and yeah, they've made a couple of decent signings, I think, this season, and obviously they've let Button go, which will be a massive loss.
Huge. I think Potter will keep him in the league again. To be fair, he's a good manager technically as well.
Yeah, I think so.
He'll work his magic, shall we say?
So 15th, I wanted to put this team higher, as I actually in my head feel like they should finish 12th. However, due to just trying to fit in all the other teams, I've ended up putting them 15th, and it's the new boys, Leeds.
Right.
I've got Leeds as 15th. I think they'll do well, but maybe not as well as some people are saying. So some people are saying 8th, 7th, even top 6, which I think is a bit too much. They're not Wolves. I don't think they're going to do that well. I think they're going to do a decent job. I don't think they're going down. I think they're going to do well. I think they're going to be mid to lower mid-table, and that's why I've got them 15th. Who's 15th for you?
Might come as a bit of a surprise. I've gone Burnley.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I know. It was one when I was doing the league table. I'm kind of umming and eyeing about it, but I just think it's the same every season at the moment. And teams are starting to, I think, suss Burnley out. I know Sean Dyche, brilliant manager. He's done exceptional at Burnley, but I think this might be the season that they start to come unstuck a little bit, which is why I've put them 15th. I think they'll be safe. There's no doubt about it. And obviously you've got Chris Wood, J Rod's top. Pretty decent acquisitions. Defensively, they can be solid. They've got Tarkovsky, for instance, likes of Taylor, good FPL, and obviously Popey. But I don't know. I've got a horrible feeling that they're going to struggle. So
okay,
we'll have to see.
You'll see where I've placed them soon. I don't disagree entirely with what you said. You'll see where I've put them. So 14th for me is Brighton.
Okay. Yeah.
So hence why I didn't really disagree with you too much. I think they'll do better than people are saying. But I don't think they'll be pulling up any trees. I don't think they'll be going into the top 10 anytime soon. So I've got them as 14th. Who's 14th for you?
That seems fair. I've gone Palace as 14th.
Palace.
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you were saying. So I think probably mid to lower mid table. I think they'll be okay, but yeah, I've put them as 14th this season.
Okay, 13th for me is Burnley.
All right, okay, yeah.
Not too far off what we just said. Yeah. I do think they'll obviously be poorer than this season. Not to the extent of what you've said, but I do think they'll regress a little bit. But I've got them as 13th, as I think tactically he's a very good manager, and I still think they'll they'll do a decent job on teams. So that's why I've got them as 13th as opposed to say 15th, 16th.
Yeah, they'll definitely do the business against them, and they've always got a surprise in them, don't they? So
13th for you?
I've gone. Might be surprising. I've gone Sheffield United.
Okay, yeah.
I think that this season they'll get found out a little bit more than they did last season. We noticed that they kind of regressed post lockdown and then sadly missed out on Europe. And
Yeah.
I can see it being a very similar start as well. Defensively they're exceptional, but the loss of Henderson might be an issue. We'll have to wait and see. But teams have had a season to figure out how Sheffield United play, and they'll go into it a lot better tactically, I think, in dealing with those overlapping centre backs. And going forward, obviously McGoldrick does a job, but he's no kind of top goal scorer. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I think Sheffield United won't be anywhere near top half this season.
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you just said there, and that's why they are 12th in mine.
Ah, there we go.
So there you go. I don't think I need to add much more than that. I just kind of echo your thoughts. So who have you got 12th?
I've gone Leeds. I agree with you. I don't think there'll be, this top 6, top 8 that I've seen banded around a few times. I think they'll have their moments. They'll definitely, push teams. So it wouldn't surprise me if they get a few points, against top 6 teams, for instance. But under Bielsa, we've seen in the Championship as well, they tend to potentially tire, second half of the season. And as strong as their squad is, I don't think it's top half quality at the moment. I think they maybe need a season of bedding in, and then providing that they stay up, they'll no doubt make a few more signings either January or next summer to improve. And we've seen obviously Rodrigo come in, but he's not exactly prolific for Valencia when he played there. So we'll have to see how he gets on.
Yeah.
Which is why at the moment I've put them 12th. So.
Okay. I've maybe got a bit of a surprise pick here for 11th. I think a lot of people will have them far higher up the table. But I've actually gone Leicester as 11th.
Wow. Okay.
I don't think they're going to have a good season. I think the loss of Chilwell is going to hurt them, I think. And potentially Vardy may not have as good a season as he normally does. I know he's currently in my team, but he is getting older. But he is still still an excellent player. But I think the overall team will be affected by the loss of Chilwell, and I think they can't sustain their current position based on the strengthening of the other teams around them, the likes of Arsenal and so on. I think they're going to be leapfrogged by the likes of Arsenal, Spurs. Wolves,
inevitably. I don't think they'll be challenging.
Away too much.
Just give away your table now, mate. It's fine.
Yeah. I think they'll be leapfrogged by quite a few teams. So that's why I've got them down on 11th.
Okay. No, I agree to a point. I think Leicester will definitely regress this season. I can't see them challenging for Champions League like they were last season. And obviously I think I've put them slightly higher in the table, which you'll see, and that's purely down to the likes of Maddison staying fit and Pereira coming back fit, because without them they struggle, and there feels like there's a lack of depth in that squad.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
For me, I've gone Newcastle as 11. Okay. Now, this prediction was done slightly before obviously the announcements and stuff, but I still think they'll be maybe essentially mid-table. The teams that are above them, I think, are better. They've definitely made some good signings. Obviously, bringing in Wilson and Fraser from Bournemouth, I think that'll push the likes of St. Maximin and Almiron, for instance. And you've got a pretty decent front four there if you play those three behind Wilson. So I think they could do well. But for me, Newcastle, I don't think they've got enough just yet to be pushing top half.
Okay. Decent prediction. So I'll move on to 10th, and it's our team, it's Saints.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
I think we're going to have a fairly good season. I think we've we've made a couple of decent signings. Obviously, Carl Walker-Peters is a great signing to get made permanent. Salisu will hopefully strengthen us at the back. I still think there's a few teams that have obviously placed above us that have more to them. But I think we'll be in the top 10. Maybe a bit pessimistic even with 10th. We might be a 9th and 8th or 7th.
I'll take it.
I don't see us in the top 6, and I don't see us going down. So I think we'll essentially be between 8th and 12th, I think.
Yeah,
so that's why I've gone 10th.
I agree. I've perhaps surprisingly put Wolves
Wow. Okay.
is 10th. Yeah, I know that they missed out on Europe, didn't they? So they don't have that to contend with. But I'm just a bit worried. I've seen, there's talks about them signing a few more Portuguese players before the start of the season and whatnot. But something just feels a little bit off at Wolves. I think Doherty will be a huge loss personally for them. That they're going to have to fill that right back slot because that provided a.
That is,
yeah.
I don't know why they've done that, to be honest. Especially if they sold him for.
Yeah, what was it? Less than 15 million. But
yeah.
For them to not fill that right back slot, I think if they play say a 3-5-2, 3-4-3, then you've got Traore probably filling in, that right wing back. Do you want him there? He's not, the same as Doherty in terms of his attacking output from the right. He really wants to be, chasing through. So I'm a bit worried. And again, Jimenez is their primary striker. I know you've got Jota, you've got Podence, both good options. But if Jimenez was to take a knock, are they really good enough to take on that mantle? Not so sure. So I'm a little bit worried about Wolves, Inevitably, at the end of the season, we'll look back on this pod and I'll be like, Matt, what the fuck are you thinking? But for now, I've got Wolves as 10th.
I feel like your Wolves is my Leicester, to be honest. I think I've put Leicester too low and I think you've put Wolves too low.
Yeah.
Right, okay. I'll go 9th. 9th for me is Newcastle.
Yep.
So I think they've made some excellent signings this window. Some solid sort of proven Premier League players, the likes of Callum Wilson, Ryan Fraser. I think they could re-energise that partnership between Wilson and Fraser, which was obviously a bit lacking last season. Wilson had a bit of a bad season, so to speak. He only got 8 goals. The season beforehand, in the Premier League, he got 14. I think we'll be seeing that kind of Wilson next season. I think it's exciting to have a decent number 9 at Newcastle again, a decent attacker. Obviously, Joel Linton don't really cut the mustard.
No.
So I think getting Callum Wilson in is a very smart move. And for 20 million, that's great business by Mike Ashley. Obviously, he gets a lot of abuse and he is a bit of a prick. But I think that's some decent business. And Newcastle fans are certainly happy about the way this window's gone. And
I saw FPL have priced obviously them just before we podded at Wilson at 6.5 million and Fraser at 6. So I think they're both good prices.
Yeah, you'll see my team later.
Oh, okay. For me, in 9th, I've gone Saints. I think I'll take it top half or mid-table. Bite your hand off at the start of the season for that. I think obviously everybody saw how well we played post-lockdown. We would have been 3rd post-lockdown in that table. I don't think we'll push top 6. I don't think we've got the squad depth for it. But without having focus on, European competitions and stuff, and I think the fact that Ralph is slowly integrating the players into his thinking, like his tactical awareness, going that 4-2-2-2, the players are really buying into it. So I think for us, it'll be a comfortable season, personally. Again, like you've mentioned, KWP and Salisu have come in areas that we need to strengthen. And still a little bit dubious that we may be a little bit light defensive midfield-wise. I know we've got Prowse and Romeu, but...
It's the departure of Højbjerg, isn't it?
Yeah, I know Romeu technically at the moment is that replacement, but behind him, I don't think the likes of Smallbone and stuff are quite good enough for the Premier League just yet.
Well, yeah, and Romeu could quite easily get suspended. We know what he's like.
Yeah. Oh, he's got a booking in him, doesn't he? And obviously with VAR and stuff.
Don't put him in your FPL team.
No, definitely not. Oh, right. So we're looking at top 8 now.
Top 8, yeah. So I'll go. 8th, I've got Everton. Obviously, they've done some
Fair.
decent business. They've got the likes of Allen in. They've got obviously James Rodriguez, which is a brilliant signing.
Very, yeah.
Very impressive. I'd like to crowbar him into my team. He's not in there at the moment, but he obviously had a good couple of seasons at Bayern on loan from Real Madrid. Obviously, the Bundesliga is not the same as the Premier League, but it's not a league to be underestimated. As we've seen, some German teams have smashed English teams in the past. So
Yep.
I think James Rodriguez is a great option. I think maybe I've overlooked or criticised people bringing in Calvert-Lewin, but that was before they signed James Rodriguez. I think now they look a lot more attractive as FPL options. But yeah, none of them are currently near my team. But yeah, I think Everton are going to have a fairly good season. I don't think they're going to go mental, so to speak, and finish in the top 5, but they're gonna finish 8th, I think.
Yeah, I think their acquisitions have been really good, like you say. DCL has become an option, in my opinion, because you've now got Allen, Rodriguez, and Richarlison kind of in behind him. So he's going to get the service that he potentially wasn't getting, especially post-lockdown. Surely Ancelotti can't be happy with what he saw for the last 7-8 games.
Yeah.
And there's also rumours that they're going to bring in Decore as well, from what I've read.
Yes, I forgot about that. I remember that news was happening around the same time as the rumours of James Rodriguez. I think, another great addition if they were to get
if they bring him in to bring those 3 players in, this close to the start of the season, I think that's 3 brilliant kind of midfield players that will inevitably improve the service up top.
If they were to price Decore at 5.5, he'd probably go straight in my team, I think. A team like Everton.
Yeah.
Great at Watford, never mind Everton.
We all know he'll be priced at 6, though.
Yeah. Who's 8 for you?
I've gone Leicester. So, like we touched on, I think they'll regress. But I think Vardy, like I said, provided Maddison and Pereira stay fit, I think they've got goals in them. Defensively, maybe a little bit more susceptible this season. I know you've got Johnny Evans suspended for the first 3 games. Souček, he's a good player, but I don't think he's a world-class kind of centre-back. Not Souček. You know who I'm talking about. What's his name? Soyuncu. Yeah, very, very similar, Similar.
I was like, hang on a minute.
Hold on, they've not got fucking Souček at centre-back. God, yeah. When did that transfer happen? Nah, Soyuncu. Yeah. But again, I don't think he's world-class. I mean, Souček definitely isn't a world-class centre-back, so... But and then you've obviously got the issue at the moment of Pereira being out, so Justin's covering.
Yes.
So we'll have to see. I think they've got goals in them. I still think Vardy will be a 12 to 15 goal season at least, if not more. But I don't think they'll get Europe.
No, neither do I. Placed
as we've seen.
So 7th for me is Wolves.
Just missing out.
So just missing out. I think they'll have another good season, but I think the teams I've placed above them have just got more to them. I think 7th's just about right for Wolves personally.
Yeah. It seems a fair spot. Obviously, I've got them slightly further down, but like you said, I think that they prove that they can beat the top end teams. It's just I'm a little bit worried about their consistency this season. For me, I've got Everton just missing out on Europe. I think like we've just spoken about, signings are brilliant personally, so we'll have to wait and see. But I think DCL, Richarlison, all far better options than they were 2 weeks ago, for instance. I don't think anybody were considering Everton teams. I even listened to the Everton pod from the Planet FPL Correspondence Week, and he was so down listening to it about Everton, but I reckon that's all changed now.
Oh yeah, some great pods there. I listened to the West Brom one. I wanted to hear Harrison's thoughts.
I think everybody did.
I really enjoyed it, and I'm going to make time for the other pods as well. But yeah, interesting to see where you've put Everton.
Yeah. So I've gone 7th.
Okay, so top 6.
Yeah,
where it gets tasty. So for 6th, I've got Spurs. I think they're going to have a solid, decent season, but again, I don't see them breaking into the top 4 as much as obviously Jose will want to. I think sixth is going to be about right for them. I think Doherty will strengthen them, but yeah, I feel sixth is just right for them.
I've also gone Spurs as sixth.
Okay.
Much of the same reason as you've put. And the other thing is I'm worried about their Europa League Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Obviously,
yeah, exactly.
if they then progress in the League Cup and the FA Cup, they've got a lot to contend with there. So, for me, Spurs finish sixth.
Okay. Let's be interesting if we have the same order.
We could well do. We'll find out.
Yeah. So for fifth, I've got Arsenal.
Yep.
I think have you got Arsenal as well?
I do indeed.
Okay. I think Arsenal are going to have a good season. I think they've strengthened. I think they're going to play well. They're going to be decent, but I don't think they're going to have just quite enough to get into the top 4. Your thoughts as well on Arsenal?
Yeah, like you said, I think they've strengthened defensively. Arteta's got them, a lot more drilled back there. The likes of Tierney and stuff have come in last season and stepped up. Just seen that they've re-signed Danny Ceballos on loan. Perhaps he gets some more minutes this season. It would be good because I think he's a brilliant player. I just don't think that they've got enough going forward other than Aubameyang to break into that top 4. Because without him, Lacazette, yeah, he's got goals in him, but occasionally rotated. And then you've got the likes of Nketiah, Saka. They're all good young players, but they're not the talisman that you need, I think, alongside Aubameyang to get yourself into the top 4.
No, they're not the elite level. They might be in a couple of years, but at the moment, they're not.
Yeah.
You need talent now. And I think that's been the case with Arsenal over the years, especially with Arsene in charge. He was always thinking of the future and not so much in the present.
And I think it's also indicated in Arsenal's pricing. Like you look at Aubameyang, he's 12 million. The others are 5.5, 6.5 million.
Yeah,
there's a huge difference. I know you've got Pepe and Willian, but again, I just don't think there's enough there to get Arsenal into the top 4, which is where they really should be.
No, yeah, agreed. I think it's going to be a shame that they're just going to miss out. So the top 4.
Yeah, Champions League.
Yeah, this one's tricky. It's very tricky. I could quite easily change this order, to be honest. But as it stands, I've got 4th place. I've got Man United. I think they're going to have a good season. I think obviously they're going to make the top 4. But as you'll see, the transfers a certain other team have made, which I'll mention later, I think puts them above Man United. And that's why they're 4th.
100% agree. I've got Man United 4th as well.
Right, okay. We'll move swiftly on, maybe.
I think we should. I don't think everybody knows about Man United. You've got that front 3. You've got Bruno in behind. There's not a lot else to talk about them.
So 6th, 5th, and 4th, we've got the same. Let's see if we've got 3rd the same.
I think we may well.
I've got Chelsea.
Likewise.
I think they've made some decent business, and I see no problems in them finishing 3rd. I just think City and Liverpool are still maybe just a fraction above them. Obviously, Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, all great signings. It might take a season for them to fully gel and together and to understand each other and work on the same wavelength. Yep. They may well challenge for the title next season, but this season I don't think they'll be challenging for the title. But I do think they'll finish 3rd.
Yeah, no, fully agree. I think those signings have been exceptional. And if they don't get top 4, I think Lampard will be in trouble. The reason that I don't see Chelsea pushing Liverpool or Man City at the moment is defensively. I know obviously they brought in Silva, which brilliant, very experienced, but they've still got, the likes of Zuma hanging around, Aspilicueta's aging, Reece James, does he play all the time? And then at the moment, they've still got Kepa in goal. And with Kepa in goal, I don't think you're going to win the Premier League. So
that is a concern, yeah. Yeah, I agreed.
I'm really interested to see who you've got second.
The top 2, yeah. Let's see if we know if I've put second, then we've got and you put the same team for second, we've got the identical top 6.
We do, yeah.
So second for me, I've put Liverpool. I think Liverpool will miss out this year. I think City will be determined to win the league back. And I think Salah will play well, but I think the rest of Liverpool's team may drop off a little bit. I think they may feel the pressure of retaining the title to be too much. And I feel like City will be so determined to win the title back. I think they'll have an edge. And also their squad depth is insane, Man City's. I think, and they've got the likes of obviously Foden coming through as well. He looked really good at the end of last season. Yep. I think City are going to win the league.
So I can confirm that we have exactly the same top six, because I've got Liverpool second as well. Their
wow,
form
post order.
Yeah, exactly the same order, top six. Their form post lockdown worried me a little bit. Obviously, at the point where they had won the league, they kind of seemed to down tool slightly, and I also think they may have a slight focus on the Champions League as well, given I don't think their fans nor Klopp were particularly happy in the way that they exited. Obviously, they've missed out a little bit there. So they may kind of put the focus back on that. And also, like you said, I think Man City will be so driven to win that title back. And again, neither Pep nor the board are going to be very happy that they've missed out on the Champions League this season. So they're going to have to go gung-ho. And I think they'll have to start the season quickly, build up some points. And I can see City doing that, which is why I've put them top.
Wow, yeah. Identical top six. Be interesting to see how close we are. If we get it completely correct, that'd be insane.
Very, yeah. I think there'll be some twists and turns for sure. That top six potentially isn't cemented, but at the moment, I can't see anybody outside of it breaking in. I don't think the depths of squads are there.
No.
And I don't think, anyone's going to make any major signings that's going to affect that.
I think the only place that might be a bit vulnerable would be sixth. I think maybe Spurs could slip out and a Wolves or an Everton could slide in. But other than that, I think it's pretty solidified, to be honest.
Yeah. Should we
move on to the other predictions?
Yeah, let's move on to the old golden boot then. This is a tricky one. I found picking this exceptionally difficult given how, tight we've seen it in the last couple of seasons. There's been a goal splitting 2 or 3 players. But who have you gone for?
So I was torn between quite a few players, to be honest. But I've gone Anthony Martial.
Wow.
There you go. Bit of a curveball.
I did not see that coming.
So he's going to have a whole season of Bruno Fernandes feeding him, putting balls on a plate for him. And I think his confidence has grown so much since last season. I think he loves playing through the middle. He scored 17 last season. I think with a whole season of Bruno feeding him, I think he'll be getting 20 plus. And obviously he'll need about 23 to probably win the Golden Boot. And I think he's capable. I think with an improved Man United team, which they are, I think it's all going to go through him essentially. I think he's going to win the Golden Boot.
Wow.
I think his competition is Aubameyang mainly, maybe Salah as well. I think obviously potentially people are not talking about Salah enough because it's just kind of a foregone conclusion that he's going to do well. But I could quite easily see Salah winning it as well, to be honest. But I've picked Martial, which is a bit of a curveball.
Yeah, it's he's a player that I think is going slightly under the radar, which is weird, but I think his positional change to a striker and pricing him at 9 million. I know obviously United blank game week 1, but I'm not seeing a lot of talk within the Twitter bubble to say of people bringing Martial in. There's a lot of talk about, I'll have Greenwood to start with, or I'll be bringing in Bruno. But I haven't seen a lot saying, Martial, and perhaps that's because it's quite difficult to. Are we really going to go jump off of the likes of Werner or Ings if they're firing onto a Martial? So we'll have to see, but I think you've probably got it right that he's going to score goals this season. It's inevitable. I have gone for Sergio Aguero.
Okay, yeah,
this is purely on the basis that I need the fucker to stay fit. Because
I was going to say, I didn't pick him because of injuries.
Yeah, if he stays fit, then Aguero is a 20 plus. goal season. And I think Man City need him to stay fit as well, because if he does, and obviously he's got the likes of Sterling, KDB, Mahrez kind of feeding him, they could run away with it. We saw last season they smashed Watford 8-0. I can see a few massive results this season if they've got that front 4-5 firing. And I think Aguero will be key. He just needs to stay fit, which he hasn't for the past 2-3 seasons now. And I know he's not getting any younger, but I really hope he does. I really want to bring Sergio Aguero in at 10.5 million. I know we've spoken about it so many goddamn times, but he's a fucking bargain.
Yeah.
Nobody would have thought they'd see the day where Aguero is 10.5 million.
No, exactly. And that's why he's in my thoughts for game week 2. Currently, he's in my plans to be brought in. Jamie Vardy upgraded to Aguero.
Yeah.
So Golden Glove, I think,
yeah.
Again, picked a bit of a surprising pick here. I've actually gone for Alisson of Liverpool. He missed a decent amount of the season last season due to injury, but he's still got 13 clean sheets. I think had he been playing the games where obviously Adrian played, obviously Adrian didn't keep too many clean sheets, but I think Alisson would have got a few more clean sheets there. I think he has the potential to be the Golden Glove for next season, providing he stays.
I don't think I need to say any more because I've also gone for Alisson.
Oh, right. Okay.
For those very reasons, I think had he been fit from the start, obviously he got injured, game week 1 last season?
Yeah.
Had been fit for those 8-9 games that he missed out on, he'd run away with the Golden Glove.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, I can see Liverpool keeping a lot of clean sheets this season. The other player I considered, and it's more Mourinho's tactics than anything, was Hugo Lloris. I think Spurs will keep a lot more clean sheets this season. They may win games 1-0, 2-0, but I've gone Alisson.
Okay. Should we go through the players we think will be the highest FPL scorers in each position?
Yes, go for
it. So for goalkeeper, bit of a wild pick here as well. I've actually gone Ramsdale.
Oh, wow,
I think he will have a decent combination of saves, bonus, and clean sheets. So I think where Alisson will get clean sheets, Ramsdale will be getting clean sheets, saves, and bonus. Whereas I don't think Alisson will. The bonus will go to Alexander-Arnold, Salah, Mane, those kind of players. Whereas Ramsdale might get in on the bonus. So Ramsdale's my pick for goalkeeper.
For me, I've gone Hugo Lloris as top goalkeeper point scorer. I think for the reasons that I spoke about before, I think they'll keep clean sheets, and Tottenham are obviously susceptible to conceding more shots on goal. So he should be picking up save points. And in doing so, if they keep clean sheets, I can see him and Dyer getting bonus. He got a few bonus points last season. So I think Lloris could be up there in terms of the goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's a reasonable shout, I'd say. Defender for me, same as this season. I've gone Alexander-Arnold.
I was going to say, do we even need to predict this one?
You can't really look anywhere else, to be honest, with his free kicks, corners, just general goals, assists, his play, mainly assists, isn't it? He loves a good assist, and obviously the clean sheets as well. You forget that he still gets the clean sheets, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of see him more as a midfielder, don't you? So.
Yeah. You think about his attacking returns. You don't really think about the clean sheets, but he does still get them, and I think he'll be top again, to be honest.
Agreed. Yeah, I think Robbo will push him, but I think Trent will inevitably come out on top.
Yeah. Midfield, Aubameyang for me.
Okay, yep.
Is that the same for you?
No, I've gone KDB.
Okay.
I think De Bruyne will retain his title as being the top midfield goal scorer, point scorer.
I guess what he does have is the sheer amount of assists he gets, and as well as the goals, whereas Aubameyang's mainly goals. So I think that's not a bad shout as well. I think the reclassification of Aubameyang means he has the potential to be top scorer of midfielders, I think.
Yep, no, I think it'll be tight. Aubameyang could quite easily get there.
Okay, so for forward, no surprise after my golden boot pick, I've put Martial.
No surprise after my golden boot pick, I've put Aguero.
There we go. That rounds it off nicely.
I think it does, yeah.
Shall we briefly discuss our drafts?
Yeah, why not? I think it'd be good for the listeners to kind of see our thinking and where we're at the moment. Disclaimer that these are by no means set in stone. So when we come to, pod after this game week, which actually, coming on to that, might be Sunday this week, which we'll touch on towards the end of the pod. But yeah, I think we can look at the drafts and have a laugh and maybe discuss where we're struggling a little bit. I'll let you share your screen first for the benefit of those people watching on YouTube. You can see your drafts now.
Can you enable it for me, Matthew?
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, no problem.
I was trying to message you in the chat function, but moved on.
I gotta love when you got some technicals. There we go.
Sorry for our podcast listeners there. We'll now dive into our team.
Nice.
So that's my team. That's as it stands. I'm still tinkering. Souček's kind of a placeholder at the moment, depending on his condition, COVID-wise. But the news of Callum Wilson signing for Newcastle meant he went straight into my team. Before that, it was different based on the last pod. It was I had Mitrovic there at 6 million, as opposed to Rodrigo.
Yep. So for the benefit of those listening, do you want to run through from goalkeeper to forward? Because obviously they can't see.
Yeah, that's a bit of a better structure. So I'll go from goalkeeper. So I've got the Brighton goalkeepers in goal. That's Matt Ryan, 4.5, and Walton at 4 million. So if Ryan doesn't play, then you've got his number 2 instead of Button. Obviously, the new boy coming in. In defence, I've got 4 million Mitchell, may upgrade him with money moving around. Have a player that's more kind of nailed on to start. Like he may get rotated. He's only new to the team. So I'd prefer to have a 4.5 in there rather than a 4 million. But he's in there at the moment. I've got Eiling. I think he'll be a great attacking asset at 4.5. He's got a decent amount of assists for Leeds in the Championship. I think he's potentially being overlooked by some players. I think he's well talked about in the FPL Twitter community, but I don't think many casuals will have him in their team other than Leeds fans. So he's currently in my draft. Tierney, I think, is a great shout at 5.5. I think if you're looking at it on stats, you wouldn't put him in your team, but having watched him last season and the way he was looking for Arsenal, and especially the back end of the last season, I think he's going to be involved in a decent amount of assists.
Yep.
So that's why he's in my team. And I think Arsenal are going to be stronger at the back than they've been in previous years. Trent at the moment may change to Robbo, but I think Trent, as we mentioned earlier, is the best defender in the game. So he's in my team. Kyle Walker-Peters, best 4.5 in the game, in my opinion, in terms of defence.
Agreed.
Moving into midfield, we've got Aubameyang, Salah, Souček, Saint-Maximin, and Dean Garner.
Oh, well, okay.
So, yeah, the plan is to rotate potentially those, play 2 or 3 or even just 1 of those 5.5 players. So I'll be on fixtures, I might bench a Dean Garner and play Saint-Maximin and Souček, or I might, and then obviously play an extra defender. But I'll be sticking with the 3 strikers I've picked most weeks. So it's either going to be a 3-4-3 or a 4-3-3 probably most weeks. So up front, I have Callum Wilson, the new boy for Newcastle, Jamie Vardy, and Danny Ings. I think Callum Wilson will have a similar season to what he had 2 seasons ago. I think, as mentioned earlier, I think he, especially at his price, I thought it was going to be 7 million or 7.5. So to see him at 6.5, I was quite happy. And that's why he's straight in my team. I think he's a better option than Mitrovic.
Yeah, I think he's been priced exceptionally well.
I'll stop sharing.
What you touched on there with your rotating 5.5s, I think is something that I think we're going to see from a lot of people. because it's tricky, you know, obviously with those premium assets, and a lot of people are wanting to get in 3 strikers now. So kind of you're immediately spending 24 million if you have Salah and Aubameyang. So you've got
Exactly.
to spread your funds somehow.
And I think there's some decent options at that price point, to be honest. I would even have Armstrong, but I think it would be overkill on Saints because I'd have 3 Saints players. I'd have a whole core of Kyle Walker-Peters, Armstrong, and Ings, and that's too much for me.
Yeah, well,
I think those of you doing an Ings and Adams double up is a bit risky as well. I'd advise against that. I'd pick one or the other. I'd either take a risk with Adams or just have Ings.
okay. Well, hold that thought because you're about to see what I've got. So,
oh wow, you've done this fine.
Yeah, if I quickly go into transfers, then you can see that the whole bunch. So at the moment, I'm keeping $1 million in the bank. So I have gone purely for the basis that I'm following the mighty Button. I've gone Johnston. I've gone Johnston and Button as my goalkeepers. Mainly on the basis that, you know, West Brom are going to concede a lot of shots. So Johnston could pick up save points. At the moment, I didn't really want to triple up on Brighton. So I've gone Johnson and Button and West Brom.
To be honest, I thought about that goalkeeper pairing. I still may change to that goalkeeper pairing. I just think Brighton will be better defensively than West Brom, but we'll see.
Yep. My back 5 is Ayling, Trent, obviously. I've gone Jamal Lascelles, Walker-Peters, and Eric Dyer. I think Dyer will be a BPS magnet, as spoken about previously, for Spurs. 5 million, he's an easy way in. I do want to maybe see how Doherty gets on, but at the moment, Dyer's in there. Obviously, $1 million cheaper. KWP, I think best 4.5 in the game. And Lascelles, which I'll touch on later. You know, we've got a question about 4.5s, but I think he's been underlooked.
Yeah, agreed.
Midfield, I've gone Aubameyang, Bissouma, Salah, St. Maximin, and Armstrong. Bissouma is solely in there as a 4.5 player that I know will play for Brighton, but I'm not expecting points from. I'm keeping money in the bank because I want to kind of hedge my bets and maybe move elsewhere. But for now, he's just in there as a placeholder. And then up top, I've gone Werner, DCL, and Ings. So
I really hope that DCL pick backfires.
Oh man, I've gone Calvert-Lewin. He was in since this morning, obviously, when reading about Everton, seeing the signs they've made. I just think DCL has now become an option personally. And it's 7 million. Like, I completely forgot that he was priced $1 million cheaper than Richarlison. So I think Richarlison will still probably play out on the left. DCL most likely is the forward runner of that kind of front. Essentially, is going to be what, front 4. So you know, people are going to be feeding him, and at 7 million, I've jumped on. It gives me scope to move elsewhere if it doesn't pay off, and I've got money in the bank to maybe downgrade him and then upgrade a midfielder and whatnot. But
yeah,
that's me for now.
Okay, yeah, it's Vernon that I'm worried about. I want him in my team, but he's not in my team. I think that's a decent front 3. It'd be interesting to see how DCL pans out. I think obviously he's got improved service now. So as mentioned earlier in this podcast, I think he may become more of an option. And especially at that price point, I think he's quite accessible.
Yeah, agreed. And I want Werner at the moment. I think he's almost 48% owned. And the last thing that I want is for him to score 2 goals first game week of the season, and I don't own him. So he's one of 4, maybe 5 that are 100% locked. But I can't see me tweaking too much from this.
Yeah,
I've spent enough time doing fucking draft after draft now, and it's
yeah.
So I think you're never going to get it right for game week 1, are you? Like nobody does. Whoever is top for game week 1 will not win fantasy football. So
yeah, very true.
We just have to kind of hit and hope, and it's going to be tricky. Obviously, we've got the issues of COVID, and players are testing positive, and there's going to be suspensions and all that stuff. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But yeah,
Yeah, maybe don't make your bench too weak. I think is the advice I'd give there on COVID.
Agreed. I think that's part of the reason why I've stayed away from £4 million defenders, for instance. And I've thrown in the 4.5 that I think will start because I strongly believe, other than Button, I've got 14 starters, and I think that's what you're going to need to start the season.
Shall we go through some of the many questions we have?
Yeah, I know. Thank you very much to everybody that submitted one. We've got quite a few to get through, so we can. Let me just quickly stop sharing. There we go. Right. On to questions. We have a question from Dane Russo. So, which duo is more likely to get you points? Is it ASM and Ings, or is it Son and Adams/Rodrigo?
So, for those of you listening, ASM is Alain Saint-Maximin, just in case you're not aware of the abbreviation. And I think ASM and Ings is the duo most likely to get the most points. I think the arrival of Callum Wilson actually improves ASM as an option. I think he's going to get more assists as he's got people finishing off his crosses, his passes, whereas Joel Linton is probably twatting it 20 foot into the stands. So I think ASM and Ings for me.
Yep, no, I agree. I think I've seen quite a lot of teams with Adams, but I think although he's a good option, he won't match Ings in terms of his goals. So yeah, for me it'll be Saint-Maximin and Ings. Yeah,
great question, Dane. Thanks for sending that in. So question 2.
Yeah, as always, the ever-present Runner at 9. You'll love that. Green. So he starts off, did Greenwood and Foden bag you? I can confirm that me and James were not the two females that were in their bedroom. So moving on, would you avoid the aforementioned if sanctions are potentially incoming? And he's cheekily then thrown in a second bloody question saying, early transfers before the game week 1 ends, are they worth the risk in order to avoid price rises? So start with the first point.
So for me, yeah, I am now avoiding Greenwood. I think it's put me off him. I'm not even sure if there's going to be any potential suspensions or if he's going to be benched or even not in the team at all because of it. We don't know what Solskjaer's response is going to be to it. And it's just generally put me off him. So he's actually now out of my team and I'm using those funds elsewhere, as you've seen in my draft. I think I'll answer the second point as well. I think personally, if you're worried about price rises, I think the best thing to do is have a bit of money in the bank so then you can still make that move to get a KDB or a United asset. I think just make sure you have enough in the bank, at least a 0.5 in the bank to give you that money to play with to upgrade, say, a 9 mil player to a 9.1 mil player if they have risen.
Yeah, that seems fair. I think although they're well priced, I don't think Foden is guaranteed as some people make him out to be for City anyway.
I'd agree with that. Yeah,
obviously I know that Greenwood I think starts for United. I don't think he'll be sanctioned by his club. He's came out, he's apologised, he'll take it. But for me, I think it's probably not worth starting with him at the beginning of the season anyway. I think a lot of people have been more inclined to go Bruno. Obviously the movement from Salah and whatnot. On to the second point, I think like you've touched on, keep some money in the bank. For me at the moment, I've kept $1 million. That could be $500,000, but I think that's going to be key because the last thing you want is to miss out. Essentially at the start of the season, 0.1 becomes 0.5 because everybody's priced at 0.0 or 0.5 of a value. So if they move up by 0.1, you're either having to downgrade somebody to get that value, or you can't upgrade. So for me, keep 0.5 in the bank, and then it's a little bit of a safety net.
Yeah, agreed. Shall we move on to our next question? So
yeah,
sent in by my brother Martin. Martin, he's asked, where do you see Leeds finishing this season? He's asked that because he is a Leeds fan. I'm a Southampton fan, so that's because my dad's from Leeds, so he's also a Leeds fan. But I've chose the team of my birthplace,
Okay.
Southampton.
Good man. I
Um,
think we've touched on this, haven't we? Really? We
yeah,
both gave our predictions earlier. I've gone 12th, and you've gone 15th. So
yeah, that pretty much answers that.
it does. We got a question in from FPL Ballbag. Um, I love his name. I really do. What available resources or tools do you guys use to make your decisions on players? I currently use FFH. So for those that aren't aware, that's Fantasy Football Hub, and I'm also a patron of FPL General.
Yeah, for me, I use Ben Crellin for fixtures and Ben Dinnery for injuries. I'm sure as
Famous
most of you on
Bens.
Twitter do. If you're not on Twitter, I'd recommend getting Twitter purely for these two. I think they are essential when it comes to your FPL team. The injury news from Ben is so valuable, as is the fixture planners and all the work he does in Excel for Ben Crellin.
Yeah.
I think
No, I think
FPL and Twitter in general moves as a bit of a herd, so I do take everything I read with a bit of a pinch of salt and make my own judgment on it. Just because someone's saying something with like authority or conviction doesn't mean they're right. I think you got to have your own thoughts on it. Maybe don't react to their information straight away. Digest it, take it in from a few different sources. I'm currently not subscribed to any resources or patrons. I mainly focus on the info provided on Twitter, but I am increasing the amount of sort of podcasts and YouTube videos I listen to just to get a different view. I think you can never have too much information.
no, I agree. For me, yeah, the two famous Bens. If you're on Twitter and you're not following them, what you're doing. But I'm a member of Fantasy Football Hub, and I'm also a patron of Planet FPL. I think the content that those guys put out is incredible. So I had to become a patron. And then for Fantasy Football Hub, I think the articles and stuff are brilliant. But I primarily signed up to the Fantasy Football Hub for their Sky Planner this season. Obviously, we're both starting to trial Sky. I know we've not touched on it much, but I think it's because we're both quite new. So we're still learning, and I don't think there's much point in talking about something that we're not 100% on just yet. But they provide a planner, and it's so good. Basically, I'd say it's the Ben Crellin version of FPL for Sky FF. It's an incredible planner. So if you're on Fantasy Football Hub, I'd recommend that if you're doing Sky FF.
Cool.
Moving on to the fifth question from FPL Dronic. He's also set up a new pod, which I think is worth giving a listen. He's a very good lad. I'm considering dropping Salah and spreading that 12 million out between other areas. This does mean I might not get Fernandes in the future or have Salah. Do you think I need at least one?
Well, Dronik, I don't think you need Salah or Fernandes, providing you spent well on the alternatives that are out there. So the likes of Aubameyang, Vardy, a KDB, or an Aguero. Those are equally wise investments. I think you can't have everyone, and I think no one player is particularly essential, to use a cliche. I'd say you need maybe one Liverpool fullback, be it Robertson or Trent, and one of the United key assets such as Greenwood, Martial, or Bruno. But other than that, I think you don't have to have Salah and Fernandes. I only have Salah, and I won't have Salah as planned after game week 2, or Fernandes. And I think my team will be okay without them.
Yeah, I think you've touched on it. The term like need and essential, I think it's ridiculous in this game. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I don't think you need any player in particular. For me, I think it's good to maybe start with Salah if you can, and then move off because he's at the highest price point. So anybody that you go to from there, providing that it's not Aubameyang, you can move down to Bruno, KDB, Sterling, and you're making a saving. So if you do have the money, maybe go with him for that first game week 1, game week 2, and then downgrade if you don't particularly want to stay on him.
Well, there was that guy that was like in the top 1,000 that was like an Everton fan and didn't have any Liverpool players in his team.
Yeah, it's possible to do. So
says it all, doesn't it?
it does. Final question before we then wrap up. This is from FPL Red Arrow. Is KWP the only safe 4.5 defensive option? Importantly, why are the options so shit this year at 4.5? Vent over.
Well, I'd say he's not the only 4.5 defensive option, but he is certainly the best one. That's why he's in my team. Yeah, I think there are more options. I think you've got the likes of Charlie Taylor at Burnley from game week 2. You've got, I think Matt Targett will actually get maybe a couple of assists at that price point. I think maybe a better option than Targett would be Luke Ayling. Another great 4.5 defensive option that's currently in my team. I think we'll also see some 4.5s emerge throughout the year that we've potentially overlooked.
You know, I'm not a huge fan of Matt Targett. You know, he's obviously an ex-Saint, but I just worry about Villa this season, and I don't think he's as attacking as some people think he is. And for me, obviously, Justin is another one at 4.5. But I think he's a transfer waiting to happen, particularly with the news that, you know, Pereira has started easing back into training. So he's due back beginning of October. So maybe, you know, 3 to 4 game weeks in, you're going to have to start transferring Justin out.
Yeah, that's why he exited my draft. I think I was mainly just zoomed in on the fact they had West Brom the game week 1.
Likewise. For me, I've moved from obviously Justin onto Jamal Lascelles, which you've seen, because I think Lascelles is going under the radar. Newcastle's for 14 games. I think they're a good bunch of fixtures. And obviously, with the additions moving forwards, if Bruce sets them up and potentially that, I think it's 4-4-2, they may well rotate that formation given the signings that they've made. But I think Lascelles, he's a really good defender in my opinion. He'll pick up bonus points. You know, he's got the odd goal in him, which we've seen before as well. So I've stuck him in at 4.5 million. I think he'll stay there for now.
I think he's a fair shout, and I think having seen Newcastle strengthen, it is tempting for me to put him in, but I'd be going triple Newcastle. And again, I don't want to triple up on players. I think we mentioned this on earlier pods that at the start of the season we shouldn't be tripling up on assets. Admittedly, you've gone against that.
I've gone triple Saints. I think triple Saints is too hard to ignore. I know I'm obviously slightly going my heart over my head as well, but I think, you know, KWP, Armstrong and Ings, they're both at brilliant price points for me. So should we look to wrap up then, mate? Because I see we've gone on far too fucking long. And
yeah, we have. We've
as always, but
it's a lengthy one, but I think we enjoyed doing the predictions.
Oh yeah, no, it's something I think we'll look back on at the end of the season and have a laugh about as well. And I'm really interested to see how well we've done in our Premier League prediction.
Yeah, I think we'll do a video at the end of the season just to look back on this and see how good or bad our predictions were.
Agreed. Well, let's wrap up there. Once again, thanks everybody for, you know, listening and providing your questions. As always, we're on YouTube and Twitter as the Season Keepers, obviously available on places such as Spotify. We've now sorted out our Google Podcasts, so that's good. You know, those Android users can get on there. We're on Apple, Pocket Casts, and a few various others. They're all available in our link tree. Like, share, subscribe, comment as much as you want, guys. And been a pleasure talking to you, James.
Bye-bye.
All right, see you guys later.